It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Those words strike like a blade across centuries, reminding you that in every room, in every exchange, power decides respect. You have felt the humiliation of being dismissed at work, brushed aside in relationships, or ignored when your voice should have mattered. That sting is not trivial. It is a signal that the battlefield has already been chosen, and the enemy is weakness, dependence, and manipulation. When others witness your submission, the loss of respect is public and final. In politics, rulers who faltered before rivals were remembered not for mercy, but for collapse. The public execution of credibility happens faster than death itself. Because once others know you can bend, they know you can be broken. You cannot allow such a coup at the throne of your image. In modern life, the dagger is silent. Reputations fall not with swords, but with whispers, screenshots, and subtle exclusions. You may not bleed, but you are erased. One careless moment of tolerance toward disrespect, one failed defense of your boundary, and the cost is compounding. It spreads in the workplace, in friendships, in your digital footprint. To stay untouchable, you must control what you tolerate. Do not argue with every insult. Do not chase every slight. Instead, project stillness. Handle confrontation as a commander facing noise from an inferior. When someone interrupts you, do not rush to reclaim the floor with frantic words. Pause. Look directly and continue speaking with clarity. The pause is more lethal than shouting. In that silence, others see command, not desperation. Respect is preserved not by reacting, but by ruling yourself in the moment of pressure. The throne, or the chains, that is the choice before you. Imagine yourself at a banquet, seated as a sovereign. On one side stands self-mastery, where your word is steady and your image unbroken. On the other, chains of appeasement clatter at your feet, forged from every moment you bowed to disrespect. You cannot hold both. You either seize the crown of your own discipline, or you hand it to those who will use it against you. To become untouchable, you must draw a line, defend it without apology, and refuse the comfort of weakness. This is not cruelty. It is survival. Weak. I hope they treat me better. Strong. I decide what I allow. Weak. I don't want conflict. Strong. I will not be disrespected. Weak. Maybe it's fine. Strong. My standard is non-negotiable. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to command. Stand in the room as if every word, every silence, and every decision is a move on the chessboard of your life. Bend once, and you will kneel forever. Rule yourself, and you will stand above the noise. Remember the mantra: respect is taken, never begged. The first throne you must seize is not made of stone or gold. It is the throne of your own mind. If you cannot rule there, every external victory will collapse. Attention is sovereignty. Distraction is treason. History shows that rulers lost empires not only to armies but to their inability to focus on decisive matters. When a leader allowed his gaze to scatter, opportunists struck. The same law applies to you. Every time you let your mind wander aimlessly, every time you indulge trivial thoughts while critical duties wait, you stage your own downfall. Guard your focus as you would guard a crown against thieves. Command yourself to choose one target, pursue it relentlessly, and strike until it is done. Scatter your energy, and you become your own saboteur. The throne room of your mind is filled with voices. Some are advisors, some are traitors. What you tell yourself shapes your reign. If your inner court whispers weakness, you act like a servant even when seated as a king. Modern life makes this treachery worse. Social feeds, news cycles, and comparison traps flood your inner court with noise. You scroll through endless opinions, and each one takes a seat at your table. Soon, you no longer rule. You react. The remedy is ruthless selection. Guard your self-talk as a king screens his counsel. Do not allow insults to echo in your head. Do not repeat phrases of defeat. Replace them with deliberate commands. Weak. I hope I can manage. Strong. I will execute. This today. Weak. I feel overwhelmed. Strong. I choose one battle now. Weak. Maybe I am not ready. Strong. Preparation is my weapon. The words you allow become laws in your kingdom. Speak as a ruler, not as a pawn. But beware of the betrayal within. The most dangerous coup does not come from outside enemies, but from your own mind plotting against you. Imagine for a moment that your thoughts form factions. One seeks order, another seeks comfort, another seeks distraction. Left unchecked, distraction raises an army. Comfort opens the gates. Soon you are deposed, watching as weaker parts of yourself seize the crown. This is not fantasy. It happens every time you surrender to excuses or let doubt paralyze you. The throne remains, but you no longer sit upon it. To prevent this rebellion, you must train vigilance. Recognize when your own thinking begins to sabotage. Strike swiftly. Command yourself back to discipline. Rule as if each thought were a soldier that must serve your strategy or be cast out of the ranks. You may face moments when others challenge your focus directly. A colleague may press you into debate, trying to draw you into endless arguments. Do not fight on their terms. Sit back, hold your voice steady, and state your position clearly once. Then return to your task without apology. That calm authority unsettles them more than escalation ever could. They learn you cannot be dragged from your throne. In that stillness lies true command. Every time you defend your focus, you reinforce the fortress of your mind. The mind is a battlefield, and only those who rule it can remain untouchable in the world beyond. You are not entitled to sovereignty. You must seize it daily. Build walls of discipline, patrol gates of attention, execute traitorous thoughts before they spread. The external world will bend only when the internal kingdom stands firm. Remember this mantra: rule the mind, or the mind will rule you. The battlefield begins at dawn. The first light is not gentle, it is the signal of war drums echoing across your empire. Every empire, ancient or modern, understood that the morning hours carried decisive weight. Armies moved before the sun rose. Leaders made their judgments while others still slept. When you wake and act with clarity, you strike first. When you drift aimlessly, you hand the field to your enemies before the battle has begun. The one who owns the morning owns the throne. Rituals are not luxuries, they are weapons. A ruler who began his day with silence, planning, or devotion entered battle with armor already secured. The same applies now. If your first act is submission to distraction, you walk unarmed into war. If your first act is command over body and mind, you march into the day as a general. Modern life disguises the battlefield in routine, but the stakes remain. Successful figures across industries understand that mornings decide everything. A tech leader clears his schedule for deep work at dawn because he knows interruption is the enemy. An athlete trains early because discipline before sunrise shapes discipline under pressure. A military officer inspects troops at first light because order then means order later. The pattern is not random. The early hours are the one arena where the world has not yet claimed you. When you fill them with strength, the rest of the day bows to your rule. Weaponize your routine. Lay out your strategy before you sleep, so you rise without hesitation. Move your body to awaken the predator within. Guard your mind from the flood of noise. Weak. I'll see how I feel. Strong. I will execute my ritual. Weak. I'll get to it later. Strong. Later is lost. Now is mine. Weak. I start when I have time. Strong. Time starts when I command it. Picture an empty camp at dawn. No guards posted, no weapons ready. The soldiers asleep while the enemy advances. This is the image of a man who treats his morning lightly. The ambush is swift. The enemy takes the camp without resistance. The day unfolds in chaos. ruled by reaction instead of command. Every email drags him in a different direction. Every demand steals his focus. Every conflict finds him unprepared. He loses not because he is weak in skill, but because he surrendered the field before the first clash. To avoid that fate, you must treat sunrise as the moment of declaration. Secure your camp, prepare your soldiers, sharpen your weapons. When the world arrives with its battles, you will already be victorious. If someone mocks your discipline, do not waste energy on defense. If a friend laughs at your early rise, reply calmly, "I guard my mornings because I guard my throne." Then return to your path. Leadership is not convincing others, it is ruling yourself with such consistency that their noise cannot pierce your armor. Let them see the results while they still wonder why you march differently. Every morning is war. Every sunrise is a call to arms. If you rise with weakness, you kneel all day. If you rise with command, you rule. Remember the mantra, win the morning, win the empire. Power is not always declared with motion. The greatest advantage often belongs to the one who waits. History is filled with commanders who knew that restraint could be sharper than attack. The waiting assassin chooses his moment with care, while the reckless charge into traps. In battle, a soldier who moves too quickly reveals his position, but one who waits in the shadows forces the enemy to spend energy, to grow restless, and finally to expose weakness. Stillness is not surrender. It is the silent preparation that makes your eventual strike impossible to defend. Machiavelli observed that fortune favors the bold, but boldness is not the same as noise. Sometimes boldness is patience sharpened into a weapon. In modern life, stillness has become rare, and that is why it is powerful. In negotiation, silence is not empty. It is a force that unsettles weaker minds. When you hold your ground and let the other person fill the space, they often reveal more than they intended. They offer concessions, backtrack, or expose insecurity. You do not need to crush them with words. You need to let their own urgency undo them. The same is true in conflict. If someone challenges you with aggression, do not always answer immediately. Pause, breathe, look them in the eye. The silence says more than retaliation could. It communicates control. It signals that you will act on your terms, not theirs. Weak, I must defend every point. Strong, I speak only when it matters. Weak, I react to their pressure. Strong, I let silence make them sweat. Imagine the predator in the shadows. A wolf waits while the prey stumbles in. Panic. The prey moves faster, thinking it can escape, but each step drains its strength. The wolf conserves energy, studies movement, and chooses the perfect moment to strike. This is the model of power through stillness. Most people waste themselves. In frantic activity, they rush, overtalk, and overcommit. In their haste, they reveal weakness. By mastering restraint, you become untouchable. You see more clearly. You move only when it is decisive. You stop bleeding strength on battles that do not matter. The world expects you to be frantic. When you are calm instead, you are feared. The quiet leader holds more influence than the loudest voice in the room. If you face disagreement, practice calm command. When someone pushes you to decide instantly, do not yield to their tempo. Say firmly, "I will respond when I have considered it fully." Then hold that line. They may press harder, but every attempt only reveals their lack of control. Your patience becomes your shield. Your timing becomes your sword. By not allowing others to dictate your rhythm, you show that your throne is guarded. You do not chase their approval. You rule yourself. Weaponizing stillness is not withdrawal from life. It is the art of saving force for the right strike. In war, the army that breaks formation loses. In life, the person who breaks discipline loses. To remain untouchable, you must know when to wait, when to act, and when to let silence fight for you. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is the mark of the ruler who knows his power cannot be rushed. Remember this mantra: silence is the sharpest blade. Machiavelli taught that when threats arise, they must be crushed completely. Half measures. Invite return. A prince who eliminates rivals decisively secures stability, but one who spares them often seeds his own destruction. History records countless rulers undone not by enemies in open war, but by enemies they failed to eliminate when given the chance. Ruthless elimination is not cruelty for its own sake, it is clarity that survival demands. You cannot remain untouchable while dragging weakness beside you. Every indulgence, every tolerated flaw, every toxic tie becomes a dagger waiting to strike your back. To rule yourself, you must cut cleanly and without hesitation. A hesitation in battle costs a throne. A hesitation in life costs sovereignty over yourself. In the modern world, the purge is not of rivals in court, but of distractions, toxic relationships, and wasted hours that eat away at your power. Look at your environment. Who drains your energy? Who chips at your confidence? Who subtly disrespects your standards? Untouchable men do not carry such weight. They remove it without apology. Weak. I can't cut them off, it would be rude. Strong. I will not allow poison in my court. Weak. I'll deal with this habit eventually. Strong. I strike it now. Weak. I don't want to seem harsh. Strong. My survival comes first. If your mornings are stolen by scrolling, eliminate it. If your focus is wrecked by constant noise, eliminate it. If your circle is filled with those who diminish your vision, eliminate them. Each tolerated distraction is a spy inside your fortress. You cannot call yourself sovereign if you allow enemies to sit at your table. Picture an army retreating with carts of unnecessary baggage. The soldiers stumble under the weight, slower with every step. Their commander refuses to cut the load, thinking it valuable. Then, the enemy strikes. The retreat turns to slaughter because speed was sacrificed for excess. This is the image of a life filled with uncut ties, unbroken habits, and unpurged weakness. You are crushed not by the enemy's strength, but by the weight you refuse to discard. Untouchable men understand this law. They carry only what strengthens them. Everything else is burned before it becomes a liability. The purge is not a loss. It is liberation. To move with force, you must travel light. To command with power, you must rule without dead weight pulling you back. If someone protests your elimination of them from your circle, do not engage in endless justification. State calmly, "This path no longer aligns with mine." Then withdraw. Do not debate. Do not soften. Do not reopen what has already been closed. Calm finality is more commanding than explanation. They will test your resolve. Let them. Their protest only proves you chose correctly. Your court must serve your throne, not sabotage it. Ruthless elimination is not hatred. It is ordered. It is discipline. It is the recognition that your sovereignty is sacred, and anything that weakens it must be cut away. Remember this mantra: cut once, cut clean, never look back. Power is not only in what you are, but in what you appear to be. History proves that commanders often ruled more through aura than through endless speeches. Julius Caesar inspired loyalty not because he argued with every soldier, but because he carried himself as if victory followed him. Alexander the Great commanded devotion by appearing larger than life, even when exhaustion and doubt must have lived within him. Machiavelli warned that a ruler must learn to seem merciful, faithful, humane, and religious, even if necessity demanded the opposite. The mask does not make you false. It makes you effective. Without it, you reveal weaknesses that should remain hidden. A king who shows every wound invites rebellion. A commander who appears unsure invites desertion. Untouchable men protect their authority by guarding appearances as carefully as fortresses guard their gates. Modern life is theater no less than the courts of old. The stage is not a palace. It is social media, workplace optics, and public reputation. Instagram is filled with carefully crafted images because people understand instinctively that masks matter. The professional world is the same. A manager who enters the room slouched and uncertain loses respect before speaking a word. Another who walks in with calm authority commands attention even before opening his mouth. You may dislike the performance, but the truth is unavoidable. Optics shape perception, and perception shapes power. You do not need to live for appearances, but you must weaponize them. Guard your posture, guard your tone, guard your digital presence. Weak. I post whatever I feel. Strong. I curate what strengthens my image. Weak. I speak casually in every setting. Strong. I adjust my mask to the audience without losing my core. Weak. I hope they understand me. Strong. I make myself undeniable. Imagine the Phantom King. His body may falter, his doubts may rise, but his mask never slips. To his subjects he is unchanging, eternal, untouchable. Even when he is wounded, he shows only armor. Even when he is weary, he projects command. The illusion becomes stronger than reality, and over time, the mask itself becomes the truth. This is not deceit, it is a strategy. People want symbols more than they want raw humanity. They want leaders who embody strength even when the battle rages hardest. By crafting a mask of command, you shield yourself from unnecessary exposure. You reveal what serves your throne and conceal what threatens it. The world does not deserve access to every corner of your vulnerability. Keep your private struggles guarded. Present your strongest self to the public. That discipline keeps you untouchable. If someone accuses you of being calculated, do not deny it with panic. Answer calmly, I protect my image because my work demands it. Then continue. The calm admission disarms the critic while reinforcing your control. You are not pretending to be flawless. You are managing perception as any strategist must. Do not confuse authenticity with exposure. You can be true to your values while mastering your mask. Command requires that balance. Without it, you leave your throne unguarded. Your mask of command is not vanity. It is armor. Without it, you invite unnecessary battles. With it, you project the authority that silences doubt and compels respect. Wear it with discipline. Adjust it with precision. Use it as the invisible shield that makes you untouchable. Remember this mantra. The mask is the crown. Cesare Borgia understood the law of survival. Threats must be ended swiftly, or they return stronger. When Borgia faced betrayal, he responded with decisive ruthlessness. His enemies did not rise, again because he left no room for them to regroup. History remembers him not for hesitation, but for the cold clarity that secured his power. Machiavelli praised him as a model of decisive action, because weakness in moments of danger invites ruin. You may never rule a state, but you face the same principle in life. When you tolerate open disrespect, when you delay necessary cuts, when you let betrayal linger, you invite your own downfall. Untouchable men carry an inner assassin, a part of themselves that strikes when hesitation would destroy them. In modern life, ruthlessness is not bloodshed, it is boundaries. Coldness is the discipline to say no without apology, to protect your energy as a general protects his army. Weak. I'll help even though I don't want to. Strong. I decline because my time is mine. Weak. I hope they understand my limits. Strong. I enforce my limits with or without approval. Weak. I should explain more so they don't feel hurt. Strong. I state my boundary once and move on. Coldness does not mean cruelty. It means calm refusal. When someone tries to manipulate you into constant availability, your assassin is the sharp word no. When a colleague pushes your patience, your assassin decides to withdraw without guilt. Without that cold side, you become a servant to every demand. With it, you become untouchable because your throne is protected by a blade none can see but all can feel. The blade within does not swing recklessly. It is hidden, silent, waiting until the moment requires it. Imagine a ruler who appears calm, approachable, even gentle, but when disrespected beyond the line, his hidden assassin strikes, and the act is final. No one doubts his command again. This is the principle you must embody. Carry patience, but know that a decisive part of you is always ready. That hidden assassin inside you must act without delay when weakness would compromise you. The strike is not in anger, it is in clarity. You do not need to announce it. You simply end what endangers your sovereignty. The more disciplined you are in restraint, the sharper the strike when it comes. People may test you once, they will not test you twice. If you face someone who challenges your refusal, do not stumble into long defenses. Hold your ground with calm finality. If pressed, say, "I've made my decision, nothing more." The assassin within has spoken. The debate is over. That single phrase ends the matter with more force than hours of justification. Untouchable men are not loud in their coldness. They are firm, brief, and absolute. This is the ruthless edge that makes others think twice before trying to exploit you. The inner assassin is not cruelty but protection. Without it, you are exposed. With it, you are a sovereign who cannot be pushed, guilted, or cornered. You must cultivate that cold side, not for daily use, but for decisive moments where hesitation costs your crown. Remember this mantra. The blade within defends the throne. Power is not born from denial of aggression, but from mastering it. The Romans understood this. Their gladiators were not only fighters in an arena, they were symbols of channeled violence turned into ritual, order, and respect. The brutality of the games was contained within a system that rewarded discipline as much as ferocity. A gladiator who fought with precision and restraint was honored even more than one who swung wildly. The empire transformed primal rage into a spectacle of control, reminding citizens that strength, when harnessed, commanded reverence. That same lesson applies to you. The wolf inside cannot be chained forever. If you bury it, it does not disappear. It waits, festers, and eventually breaks out destructively. But if you feed it strategically, it becomes a weapon at your command. In the modern world, aggression finds new arenas. Entrepreneurs compete not with swords, but with relentless energy. Athletes rise to dominance not because they are free of hunger, but because they direct it. A fighter channels rage into training that sharpens his body like steel. A founder channels dissatisfaction into endless work hours that build empires. The wolf is always there, and the strongest do not starve it with politeness. They feed it discipline, channeling its power into action that advances their throne. Weak. I must suppress my drive so others feel comfortable. Strong. I channel my drive to build my kingdom. Weak. I should tone down my ambition. Strong. My ambition is my engine. Weak. I don't want to seem too aggressive. Strong. I will direct aggression toward results. Hunger is not shameful. Hunger is the reason empires rise. Deny it, and you collapse under the weight of pretending you are tame. Picture what happens when the wolf is starved. Imagine neglecting your fire so long that it turns inward. The energy that could have fueled your advance becomes bitterness, resentment, and quiet self-destruction. The wolf begins to devour its own master. This is the fate of those who repress ambition until it festers as regret. They appear calm, but inside they are consumed by the hunger they refuse to face. Their throne is not stolen by an external enemy, but corroded from within. The untouchable man prevents this fate by giving the wolf its meal daily. He channels it into training, work, creation, or battle worth fighting. He lets it hunt, but only on his command. By feeding it with discipline and directing it with strategy, he ensures the beast strengthens his rule instead of sabotaging it. When challenged for being too intense, you need not defend yourself with shame. Answer calmly. Intensity is fuel, and I choose where it burns. The critic may fall silent because your composure reveals mastery. You are not ruled by your wolf, you rule with it. This is the balance that creates sovereignty. Others may waste their hunger on petty fights or bury it under weakness. You harness it, you direct it. You use it to break chains and claim territory. The wolf is your ally, not your enemy. Starve it and it consumes you. Feed it recklessly and it destroys others without purpose. But feed it with discipline and it becomes the beast that guards your throne. Remember this mantra. Feed the wolf or be eaten by it. Life is a chessboard, and every move reveals whether you will rule or be sacrificed. History remembers the ones who thought 10 steps ahead, while others saw only the square in front of them. Napoleon studied terrain and timing as if the battlefield were a living board. Sun Tzu warned that victory comes from calculation long before the clash of swords. Machiavelli himself argued that rulers must be prepared for the unexpected turns of fortune and act before rivals even recognize the threat. Those who played with foresight gained empires. Those who played with impulse lost everything. The lesson is absolute. Strategy, not chance, decides who becomes untouchable. In the modern world, the chessboard has not disappeared. It has only changed form. Office politics is chess with salaries as pawns and promotions as queens. The one who flatters too obviously is sacrificed, while the one who builds quiet alliances advances. Dating and relationships are chess with trust, reputation, and influence at stake. Media is chess on a global scale, with narratives moving like knights and bishops to trap the inattentive. Weak, I just go with the flow. Strong, I anticipate moves before they're made. Weak, I react when problems come. Strong, I prepare before the strike. Weak, I hope for fairness. Strong, I play to win because the board does not forgive the naive. If you do not play strategically, you are still on the board, only as a pawn moved by others' hands. The greatest illusion is that the pawn is free because it moves forward. In truth, the pawn advances only to be sacrificed. Many live this way. They mistake busyness for progress. They move forward but never ask who placed them on that path. They celebrate minor steps while someone else calculates their endgame. The pawn believes it has a choice, but its destiny belongs to the player moving the pieces. This is the danger of living without strategy. You may feel in motion, but you are being maneuvered. You are not untouchable. You are disposable. To escape the pawn's illusion, you must seize the role of strategist. Look at every area of your life and ask, what is the board? Who are the players? Where is the trap? Then play not for today, but for 10 moves ahead. Build reserves before you need them. Choose alliances with care. Refuse moves that feel good in the moment, but weaken your long-term position. The strategist sacrifices carefully, but never himself. That is how you ascend from pawn to king. If someone calls you manipulative for thinking ahead, do not rush to defend. Answer calmly, I prefer to prepare rather than be prepared against. That statement alone reveals your authority. You are not reckless. You are not a victim of others' moves. You are a player with vision. That vision is what makes you untouchable, because you cannot be cornered by surprises you already saw coming. Life will always be played on the board. You can deny it, but denial does not remove you from the game. The only question is whether you are the one moving pieces or the one being moved. To be untouchable, you must train your sight, master patience, and strike with calculation. Remember this mantra. Think 10 moves ahead or be moved like a pawn. Discipline is the forge where men become untouchable. The Spartans knew this truth and built their empire on it. From childhood, their warriors were trained to endure hunger, cold, and pain without complaint. The Agog, their brutal system of discipline, was not meant to create comfort, but to strip away weakness. By the time a Spartan stood in battle, he was already hardened by years of fire. Pain had become an ally, not an enemy. This is the model of the iron will. Conditioning yourself so deeply that hardship cannot move you. History shows that men who endure become men who rule, because no rival can use suffering to break them. In the modern world, the same law applies. The untouchable are not those who escape discomfort, but those who embrace it with discipline. Athletes train when the body screams to stop. Monks sit in silence when the mind demands distraction. Entrepreneurs work through endless setbacks, refusing to let fatigue erase their vision. They are ascetics of their own craft, willing to trade short-term ease for long-term sovereignty. Weak. I'll do it when I feel motivated. Strong. I act regardless of mood. Weak. I need balance before discipline. Strong. Discipline creates balance. Weak. This is too painful. Strong. Pain is the forge of my strength. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every controlled choice builds armor around your throne. Without it, you are a pawn to impulse. With it, you are a king commanding yourself first. Imagine the fire test. You stand before flames that will either consume you or prove you. The timid retreat, convincing themselves the test is unnecessary. The reckless rush in and are destroyed, but the disciplined step through slowly, enduring the heat, shaping themselves into something the fire cannot kill. This is the ritual you must embrace. Discipline is not a single act, but a daily test. A walk through fire each morning and night. When you resist indulgence, you add steel to your frame. When you push past excuses, you hammer another plate of armor onto your will. The fire does not end. That is the point. You prove yourself each day until the ritual becomes your identity. When challenged for being too rigid, do not defend with long explanations. Say calmly, I choose discipline because I choose strength. Then continue your path. The critic may laugh, but the results silence him over time. Every achievement, every demonstration of control becomes proof that you were right to endure. You are not harsh with yourself for cruelty's sake. You are harsh because the world is harsher still. Better to prepare in the fire than to break in the storm. The iron will ritual is not punishment. It is liberation. By mastering yourself, you free yourself from dependence on comfort, moods, and weakness. You become untouchable because nothing external can command you. Hunger cannot. Pain cannot. Distraction cannot. You rule because you have already conquered yourself. Remember this mantra. Discipline is the armor of kings. To be untouchable is to embody fear, respect, and sovereignty in equal measure. History shows us the pattern. Some leaders transcended rivals, not simply through force, but by building an image so commanding that opposition dissolved before it formed. Alexander's aura of invincibility carried him through campaigns that would have broken lesser men. Caesar's name itself became a weapon, capable of securing loyalty even when distance and time separated him from his legions. Machiavelli observed that rulers who mastered both fear and respect placed themselves beyond easy assault. Their power was not invulnerable in body, but untouchable in presence. The lesson is clear. To rise beyond rivalry, you must cultivate a position where striking at you seems not only dangerous, but futile. In the modern world, the shields of untouchability are different, but the principle is the same. Reputation, wealth, network, and discipline form armor no rival can pierce easily. Reputation deters attacks before they begin. Wealth gives freedom from dependency and the means to resist pressure. Networks provide allies that make isolation impossible. Discipline ensures you do not collapse from within. Weak. I'll fix my image when attacked. Strong. I build my reputation so attacks never start. Weak. I'll save if something goes wrong. Strong. I create wealth so nothing can corner me. Weak. I'll see who stands with me later. Strong. I invest in alliances before I need them. Modern power is not always about conquest. It is about positioning yourself so securely that you are never at the mercy of another. Each shield reinforces the others until you move through life as a fortress. Picture the living fortress. A king once vulnerable to arrows now turns his entire body into stone walls and iron gates. Enemies approach, but every strike glances off the citadel. They circle, they scheme, they threaten, yet they cannot break through. Over time, they stop trying, and the king remains untouchable, not because he fights endlessly, but because his structure is impregnable. This is the ultimate form of sovereignty. You transform yourself into a fortress of reputation, wealth, network, and discipline. You become more than a man. You become a citadel others must respect, fear, and bow to. Your strength is not in constant battle, but in deterrence. The fortress rules because no one dares storm it. If you encounter someone who mocks your preparation, do not waste energy defending it. Say calmly, "I build so I cannot be broken." That single phrase reveals your vision and disarms their short-sightedness. You are not preparing for small skirmishes. You are forging untouchability. Every boundary you enforce, every asset you secure, every discipline you strengthen is a stone in the wall. Piece by piece, the citadel rises until even the boldest rivals hesitate. Becoming untouchable is not about arrogance or cruelty. It is about sovereignty. It is about building a life where you cannot be ruled by insult, temptation, scarcity, or betrayal. History shows the model. Modern life demands the shields. The fortress metaphor proves the outcome. To live as untouchable is to live above the chaos that consumes others. Remember this mantra: build the fortress and none can touch the king. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Those words were not written for a single battle or a single prince. They are the essence of convergence, all principles you have learned until now: ruling the mind as a throne, seizing mornings as battlefields, weaponizing stillness, eliminating weakness, mastering the mask, unleashing the assassin, feeding the wolf, thinking in chess moves, forging iron discipline, and building the living fortress unite into a single archetype. This is the sovereign predator, untouchable not because he hides from war, but because he embodies every weapon at once. The strategist, the ruler, the predator, the fortress, they merge into a form that transcends ordinary life. To reach it is to walk the path of ultimate command. To ignore it is to kneel forever. When all weapons are drawn, you are no longer fragmented. The throne of the mind is your command center. The battlefield of dawn is where you set your advance. Silence becomes a weapon as sharp as the assassin's blade. Elimination cuts chains that would drag you down. The mask shields you from unnecessary exposure, while the wolf feeds your fire. Chess vision allows you to anticipate enemies long before they strike, and iron rituals ensure you endure where others break. History rewards this convergence. Great rulers who embodied many of these traits became legends not because they mastered one weapon, but because they forged them into a single strategy. Untouchable men do not rely on luck. They unify principles into a fortress of presence and power. This is not an abstract ideal. It is the most practical law of survival. Fragmented men fall, integrated men rule. In the modern world, the throne or the chains are still the only two choices. Either you ascend to sovereignty, or you are consumed by demands, distractions, and manipulations. You see it every day. The man who rules his mornings, his mind, and his image walks into a room and commands it without effort. The man who neglects discipline, who reacts instead of anticipates, becomes a pawn in games he does not even see. Weak. I'll deal with things as they come. Strong. I see 10 moves ahead. Weak. I want everyone to approve of me. Strong. Respect matters more than approval. Weak. I'll change when forced. Strong. I change before necessity demands it. The throne or the chains, there is no middle. If you do not claim sovereignty, someone else will claim it over you. This is not cruelty. It is the law of power. To be untouchable, you must choose command now or remain prey forever. The eternal archetype is the vision of what you become when all these weapons converge. Imagine yourself as a sovereign who no longer reacts in fragments, but embodies command as his natural state. You rise each day with discipline already forged, aggression already channeled, focus already crowned, silence already armed. You wear the mask that conceals weakness, but beneath it stands the assassin within, patient and sharp. You are surrounded by shields of wealth, reputation, and alliances, a fortress that cannot be stormed. You are no longer just a man fighting for respect. You are a citadel of sovereignty, a predator that commands fear without striking, a ruler who holds the throne without begging for it. To others, you appear immortal, untouchable, as if fate itself bends to your command. This is not fantasy. It is the archetype you step into when you refuse weakness in every form. Bit by bit, choice by choice, and by discipline, you transform into the sovereign predator. When confronted with critics who say you are too cold, too disciplined, or too strategic, do not waste time convincing them. Say calmly, "I build myself to be untouchable," then move forward. Their discomfort is proof that your path is working. Those who have no throne always resent those who do. Their resistance only reinforces your strength. You need not lower your crown to explain its weight. The sovereign predator does not chase approval. He commands respect by existence alone. This convergence is the final form. All principles sharpen into one weapon, sovereignty. You are not merely playing defense. You are not merely building shields. You are embodying the predator who rules, not through noise but through presence, not through chance but through design. Every weapon you have learned unites into an identity that cannot be touched by insult, by manipulation, or by fear. That is the Machiavellian law of power. Master yourself, unify your strategy, and ascend beyond rivalry. Remember this mantra: all weapons as one, the sovereign cannot fall. The final law is simple: rule yourself or be ruled. You have seen how easily respect collapses when even one moment of weakness is tolerated. In the modern world, a single act of submission can stain your image permanently. The colleague you allow to interrupt without correction will interrupt you forever. The partner you allow to speak with contempt will repeat it until it defines the relationship. The friend you allow to cross boundaries once will assume the boundary never mattered. Tolerate disrespect one time, and you kneel for a lifetime. This is not paranoia. It is the reality of power. Those who watch you take note of what you allow, and once they see you yield, they will treat you as conquered. Yet the reward for sovereignty is unmatched. History shows that those who ruled themselves first became untouchable to others. A disciplined leader, unshaken by insult or temptation, could walk into any room and command it. Their presence was armor. Their restraint was weaponry. People followed not because of wealth alone, but because of the aura that self-rule created. The general who appeared unbreakable inspired soldiers to fight beyond exhaustion. The statesman who never lost control in debate silenced rivals with composure. Self-mastery creates an aura that no external assault can pierce. Modern shields, your reputation, your discipline, your ability to endure, make you unapproachable to predators. You are not feared for cruelty, but respected for sovereignty. That is the ultimate prize, untouchability born from within, not granted by others. Imagine the choice set before you. On one side stands the throne, heavy but steady, waiting for you to claim it. On the other side are chains, clattering reminders of weakness, forged from every tolerated insult and every excuse. You cannot hold both. You either sit upon the throne of mastery, or you remain chained by others' expectations. The march of life demands this decision. Some choose comfort and discover too late that comfort becomes captivity. Others endure the weight of the crown and discover freedom in command. The image is stark: a sovereign ruling from his seat, or a prisoner bound to the noise of the crowd. Which path you take is decided not in theory, but in action. What you allow today, what you cut off, what you command of yourself. The order is clear. Eliminate weakness, enforce boundaries, guard your throne. If challenged, respond with calm finality, not panic. Say once, "That is not acceptable," and hold the line. No pleading, no over-explaining. Just command. Your strength will speak, louder than your words. Do not wait for approval. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Begin now, because is sovereignty surrendered. You have been given the principles, the weapons, the metaphors of war and throne. Now you must act. Rule yourself, eliminate weakness, and claim untouchability. The crown is not given, it is seized. Remember the mantra: rule yourself, and no one can rule you.